Well, now, oops, already right away we've already found out that StreamYard has already lost access to the Facebook account. We're gonna recount.
Can't believe it kicked off of Facebook already, Mike.
Yeah, that was fast, right? Account isn't locked. Unusual activity. This may mean that someone has used your account without knowledge. I guess we're gonna give me a second here. Unlock next. Here, login details. This is sad. Nah, never mind. We're just gonna continue going.
They've all moved on to TikTok anyway, Mike. Don't worry.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just remove this and hopefully put that in. We'll just remove the group for now as one of the options. Well, as I said, this is the first time we're trying this, and well, no one's watching. Well, that's probably a good thing at this moment. Oh, except Mo. Oh, Mo came on. Great, he's giving us a watch for the first time. Well,
He's going to give us the critical eye, as they say.
yeah, well, that's what I think will happen. Here's the deal. We knew sooner or later we'd have to come into the visual world. As I said, this space heater, and we're trying streaming for the first time, doing a space heater. Mike Nicholas here at 6 Points. James is at his home in Mississauga. We're both trying to rock mustaches, but as you can see, James is probably doing a way better job at it than I am. You know, November is over, right?
Yeah, well, I do know that, and you missed me by a day because I think I'm shaving it off tomorrow because I got to go get a haircut on the Saturday because tis the season, right? Got to get
Yeah,
ready for
as
the
you can see,
family gatherings and that for Christmas, whatever limited ones we can do this year.
well, that's yeah. Eventually, I know I'll have to get a haircut too. Okay, as I said, it seems appropriate that our first attempt to do a live stream of this podcast is just a space heater chat between the two OGs, me and you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to, over the next little bit, iron out the kinks as best we could. And as it sits right now, the StreamYard, as you can see, as you can see on the top left corner, the StreamYard logo is there. It's part of the deal to use their services in this case for this particular subscription. But as it stands, right now, we're just going to do whatever live episodes we are going to do, obviously, on this platform, on this video platform. And likely the Space Heater chats. Some of them will be recorded, some of them will be live. Probably do interviews through this as well. The one thing we're not planning to use on this platform at the moment is regular episodes of the podcast. And it's a technical issue because if we try to use this, we won't be able to really edit it. And in the process, you won't hear the sound effects that I'm known to put in to the final recording if you ever listen to the regular podcast. Although, yeah, I guess for people who will see this, I guess that'll be their choice as to whether or not they want that to be the case. In any event, we're just here to test out the StreamYard functions, and now we already know Facebook, or at least Facebook groups. We're trying to link this up with the Facebook group, and well, that's already a fail. Maybe we'll try a page, and we'll make a page for this podcast. Any first impressions, though, James?
Well, we're live, and that's a good thing. I haven't actually went on to the YouTube or Twitch to see what Mo's typing up, if he is typing up anything, or if we've
Well,
went to
well,
two viewers.
we can. Well, yeah, we haven't gone to 2 viewers yet. Just hit the comments page at the top, though, on the top right corner there. Okay, and you'll be able to see whoever's replying and what platform they're on. So we know Mo is watching on Twitch.
Yeah, he just gave us a hey.
Mhm.
So, hey there, Mo.
Yeah, thanks. Well, basically all the listeners of the podcast are probably us. So, uh, but that's, I guess, the reality.
And we
But
did find ourselves a story, as we said, that
well,
had
we'll talk about
developed
that.
during the week.
Yeah, it's
So that's
it's a
always good too.
hell of a story when we get around to it in just a little bit. As I said, we're just doing this to test out the services and see if we want to continue. My money back guarantee is ends tomorrow, right? So we got some decisions to make.
You got to do like all the QAs in video games. You got to break the system, huh, to see how far it'll bend.
Well, I'll probably crack first before it does. So we put up
Well,
the
Zuckerberg's platform cracked on us, so I guess we didn't pay him enough money or give him enough
what is he
private
in?
information.
Oh yeah, God's sakes. Okay, we put up the episode last night, as you know. Episode 50, was it 54? If I remember correctly, episode 54 went up last night. The
Hmm.
mentions on the various platforms were made today, at least via Twitter and Facebook posts to the usual places. And I guess we'll follow up on those at some point. And what's the other things to mention? Oh, we'll just keep the conversation fluid. As I said,
Hmm.
first impressions I already have of this is, in some respects, Zoom may be just a little bit better, at least in one key factor, and that's virtual backgrounds. We tried testing the virtual backgrounds a little bit earlier, but neither of us render really well. I guess you need a real green screen to do that. Zoom,
Yeah, they made mention of green screen on that and stuff like that, and I'm not sure if that factors into it or not, but it doesn't seem to have an effect on other platforms we tried, like Zoom, as you said.
well, remember when we did the Anime North episode and I put that background from Ocean Waves behind me?
Hmm.
That worked out okay, I thought. Just looking back on the video, and I do see the video is still there on the Anime North Compass group. And yeah, I think this was part of the experience for us when we did that live episode of the Roundtable back in May. It was fun. It was fucking nerve wracking. I guess we'll have to edit that out. It was nerve wracking a little bit, but it was a new experience, at least for the way we do our show. We got to actually see the chat. And granted, it's about 100 people. I guess that's not too bad. Mind you, I watch a lot of Twitch streams that have easily
Hmm.
hundreds, if not a couple thousand.
Hmm.
But it was nice to hear from the chat as we did that episode. Granted, many of them were friends of the show, longtime listeners, or I found out later on, Kevin. Neil, I found out later on, was also in the chat for that episode. So that was a good experience, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But as I said, I think last week, we were dependent on Anime North's tech department, Steph in particular, to help us do that. And I didn't have the will at the time to start looking at doing this on a more regular basis until maybe the last couple weeks. So, well, as I said, the Roadcaster was the first step. And the steps continue with this StreamYard. Oh, hey, now Mo is. Hey, we have a second viewer, and it's Mo again, this time on YouTube. Thanks, Mo. What's
Can't
up?
believe it. There's two Mo's.
Well, here, let
His
me show you.
clone.
Yeah, there's Mo. Yeah, there's Mo again. There you go. Yeah, there's Mo's first message. Yeah, that's him. So we have two viewers, all the same guy. This doesn't bode well.
No, I think there's two Mo's in the GTA.
Well, of course there is.
Named Shamarky.
Yeah. Anyway, so the experimentation and the transformations and the changes really will just continue, and we'll give it a shot here, and we'll see what the feedback is. We'll try and build it up the audience just a little more. Hope many of the listeners will give the live versions, the video versions that'll eventually go up a shot. One likely scenario also is I mentioned episode 54 went up. There's a good possibility we will just put up a strict recording of the episode now on the YouTube page, which now goes live along with this space heater chat tonight. Okay, so I've stated before, whenever we do a space heater, or more recently, whenever we do a space heater, the purpose of the space heater is usually to start a discussion and then hope that we can continue the discussion when the table fills up in the near future. And boy, we got a juicy one, at least one to talk about tonight. And this came down the pipe earlier tonight. What's the name of this YouTube channel again?
It was totally not Mark, I
Totally
believe.
not Mark. Yeah,
Yep,
the
and that
YouTuber who was hit with 150 copyright claims for reviews featuring anime footage, mainly from Toei Animation. This is quite a story. That
and we've heard about before on the YouTube side and stuff like that. We've heard it from video games and stuff like that. We've also seen it in anime and stuff like that, but this is a big one on the Anitube scene, and I know a lot of people have made reactions along to Mark's reactions. And the other thing is, he said, is it's just not Mark himself. He has a team behind him that helps him produce these videos and stuff like that. They do it once a week. And so it really takes a hit to all of them that this would happen. And it's 150 copyright claims, as he said, basically striking them down so that he can't monetize them. And they do it once a week. Basically, that's a good chunk of their content gone. And as they said, like trying to fight it back, you have to fight it one at a time. You can't fight it all at once and stuff like that. And the way it's happened is just kind of mind blowing because, as he said, it's in relation to Dragon Ball and One Piece, I believe. And some of it is still images. Some of it was not even footage or still images. They were doing drawings, I believe, of either characters or scenes or something to the effect. So it was extremely transformative. It wasn't even the original material. And somehow those still got struck down. So that kind of tells you, and the fact that he said that the timestamps were a minute apart. So that tells me that it wasn't Toei themselves. They farmed it out to someone else, like a lot of these big corporations that goes and just trawls along YouTube and then tries to find these videos and strike them down and stuff like that. And for the creators to fight back, it's a tough hill to climb. And it kind of ties back into that dislike button thing where it's like, who was that for? The creators or the corporations?
yeah. Oh, you know what? I see now Jeff has chimed in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Apparently the YouTuber had partnerships with partner organizations. I think he may have had a relationship with Toei in the process of
That's
all of
no,
this.
that's why I said they had reached out to him and stuff like that. And he has over 600,000 subscribers. He's been at this for a while. And obviously, Christmas season, not exactly the best season to have that hit you. And as he said, I looked at a few other places that were talking about his issue and promoting and saying, hey, go to his Patreon, stuff like that. And he's been in people's comments and he's been really thankful. He said, he owes a lot of favors, he joked. I think in a lot of the comments I saw. And he said he was so proud to be a part of the AniTube community and stuff like that, that everyone was able to come together. But all of them said the same thing, that we could have been in this guy's shoes as well. And the reason we brought up the Kotaku article right here is it adds a little more flavor to it. Like Brian Ashcraft, he links the video and he talks about it, but then he brings back to the fact of the Japanese copyright law, and they look at fair use and transformative stuff very differently than the rest of the world. Like kind of basically not there. And in the article, he had Brian Ashcroft a few things like from a Japanese attorney, Keiji Sugiyama, who had a presentation at Fordham University talking about Japanese copyright law and some of the things. And one of the articles he looked at was the author shall have the right to preserve the integrity of his work and its title against any distortion, mutation, or any other modification against his will. And so basically that puts a lot of power on them, and they probably gave that power to some third party. And basically it's like if the author doesn't want their work to be shown a certain way, like on YouTube or anywhere, then they can just strike you down like a bolt of lightning almost. And it's even worse when you factor in how YouTube handles disputes and stuff like that. So it's all mixed in together in this terrible kerfuffle, to say the least. Like it's on Toei and YouTube and everything. And hopefully him and his team are able to ride it out. And there have been other things, just to put a note on it, Mike. I was watching the anime man, Joey, on his second channel, Joey, and he had some interesting things on this, talking about the Japanese side of it. And a lot of these people in the higher places of power, especially Toei, being over 50 years old, that they're older people and stuff like that, and may not be, how do you say, technology or internet savvy and stuff like that.
Well, when
And
you have a cabinet minister in charge of technology in Japan who may not have ever opened up a computer, you start to have a few issues there.
and this is where it gets crazy because they're just fawning it off, and then, as we said, they're doing one thing where they're trying to say, hey, we want to do a partnership, but on the other, they're allowing people to then disrupt their livelihood and stuff like that and not live in the 21st century. And as Joey, the anime, said in his video, he's tried to make those connections with the people and right the ship. And he said it's kind of like pushing that boulder up the hill. It's hard to do. And then the other thing he said that really struck me, and I don't know why I didn't think about it before, that really is the bullet in the heart of it too, is if you think about this, like 150 copyright claims just decimating a YouTube channel, you know what they, where they don't do something like this, Mike? They don't do this at Comic-Con. And guess what? I'm sure there's some creators there selling some very not PG rated material that are based off Dragon Ball and One Piece, and they don't go into those tables and say, "Get the fuck out." You know what I mean? Or we're going to sue you and take every cent out of your bank account. You know what I mean? And they've
And
allowed that for years and years, and it's just become an okay thing. So it's like they turn a blind eye one place, so why wouldn't they be able to turn that blind eye here? And the other part of it is some people, to try and get away from this, I know there have been, I guess, companies in that word, they'll block your videos on YouTube from certain regions. So they would block you from Japan in hopes that they won't try to hit your channel. And that doesn't always work sometimes too. And
yeah,
they
Jeff,
talk about the Japan side too. Like it's
yeah,
an
Jeff
interesting.
kind of seems to say as much when he says, "Yet the entire industry lets Dojin comics slide." Keep in mind, I think some of it is also proving ground in many ways. Like, I
Mm,
mean, up and coming artists start up in dojins. A lot of them, right? And a lot of
mm.
them can be discovered at Comiket. So there's
And you think about Ken Akamatsu and other things that champion those places too, right? It's like,
yes. So yeah, I wonder what Wakamatsu actually thinks of this. That would be interesting.
yeah, no, it was funny too. I was thinking about Joey's video too, and the other thing I was thinking about, and he went back to just YouTube in general, and he talked about Japanese YouTubers, and it's like, how many can you actually name? And he said it's a very different feel in Japan for a YouTuber than it is in the West, where because they don't have the fair use and the transformative nature and stuff like that, what happens is a lot of them, it's almost like Japanese TV, where they will bleep out words, they will blur images and stuff like that while talking about topics and stuff like that. So what exactly are they doing? You know what I mean? It's kind of batshit crazy. It's all, and they said they do it on Japanese TV. They do it on some of these YouTube channels for video games and anime and stuff like that because they don't want lightning to strike down on them. But it still could happen, right? It's crazy that they're living in that sphere and that no one's willing to step up and say, you know what? It's like this is nuts.
It's kind of what there's that phrase, bass backwards, or at least contradictory. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, with all of this going on, here I am watching an episode of Cool Japan on NHK World, and I keep hearing on the topic of Cowboy Bebop. I keep hearing Yoko Kano and Cowboy Bebop music throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Did Yoko Kano give permission for that? That's just my question. I think it's an honest question. I don't know, but I guess it's just within the country.
It's hard to say. Like, and the thing is, with Japan, they're so risk averse and stuff like that, and it's going to take time to at least make them malleable to our way of thinking. For some of them, especially the older generation, some of the newer generation, it's like the pushing the boulder uphill and stuff like that, and it's like it's hopefully something is going to give in the right direction for once and stuff like that because you can't just continue to do that. And the other question is the copyright law and stuff like that, because we know they've tried to probably change it. We know across the world they've tried to, I guess, change it and stuff like that. We've heard that for many years and stuff like that. And there have been protests on how that's going to play out. And we still don't know how that's going to play out for good and bad because I don't think it's going to be clear cut. I don't think it's going to be something everyone's going to be happy with for copyright that's going to be shared between all our regions. Like, what was the Asian Pacific trade agreement I'm thinking of? And copyright was going to be a part of it and stuff like that. Remember, we had,
The TPP? Are you talking about the TPP,
I
the
think it might
Trans
be the TPP,
Partnership?
the Trans Pacific, yeah, partnership, yeah, and Canada was going to be, and that was a part of the discussion too, right? So it's hard to say where it's going to go in the future and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with where we are in the virtual world and stuff like that, because I still wonder if that plays a factor in their minds, because I don't think it does in a way. And we even saw that with the Canadian Heritage Committee and stuff like that, and Canadian content on the internet and stuff like that, because I don't think some of those people kind of got what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Are we talking C10?
That as well, yes.
You know, C10 could be reintroduced
And
now.
it's kind of funny too in that instance because some of those are, we have a pretty younger parliament compared to Japan and a few other places. So it's kind of funny when you think about it, right? It's like,
Don't hate the player,
but
hate
as
the
they
league.
say, you just got to remember to keep your voice heard, right? That's the key thing. And as we said, it was trending on Twitter for totally not March. So hopefully someone at Toei that has enough momentum will be able to push that boulder even further up the hill and light a fire under someone who can do something. You know what I mean? Like higher up. But it's hard to say if they'll even speak the same language. It'll be like a younger person to an old person who's in his chair and probably falling asleep while they're trying to get him to do the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, which it just had me thinking. All those past discussions we've had about the way Japanese do business, the concepts of trust within, to be able to do the many things that, like, to be able to import many of its intellectual properties and titles.
Yeah,
Trust.
build up your more
We, we
trust.
we had that discussion with the was it the Anime Tube Kickstarter some months back.
I think some of that is there, but in this instance, it's kind of different on the YouTube this side in a way because I feel like obviously Toei is still taking the lion's share, the blame as they should, but my gut tells me they farmed this out to a third party company and it's just some guy doing a desk job, not getting paid much, just clicking saying, okay, this is something related to that. So it shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Sort of thing.
Or just
And
an
that,
algorithm.
yeah, you could have
Something
the algorithm too
fairly
that they put,
automatic.
yeah, when it's a minute apart and stuff like that. And it's not good either way and stuff like that. But I'm thinking too, like you can see that though they have built up trust in some way and that they are receptive because as we said with Totally Not Marked, that Toei had reached out for
Well,
partnership for signing. So it's like you
it seems
gotta
like
have
more
all your eggs in
trust
a
was there.
basket and be more cohesive as an organization, even though we know it is a big organization for Toei.
Yeah, that's the thing. Mark seems like, and I should just quickly just note his name. Mark Fitzpatrick is the YouTuber's full name. He thought he had that trust.
And then he's like, what is it? It's like, what is it? It's like,
Well, it's whatever they want at this point. It's their, I guess it's Toei's property. But it's just, I guess this is part of that, the part of that growing pains of globalization. This is just one of many different aspects that'll where we're going to see tensions with the original Japanese rights holders as many properties become more popular outside of Japan.
I think of it too, of course, Mike, in video games, and I've seen it with Atlas through many of their different video games for Twitch and YouTube on what you can and can't show, and it's gotten a bit better, but it's still ridiculous. And I know the Atlas USA, Sega USA people have tried to get them to move the ball in the right direction, but I remember like Persona 4 Golden, I think Steam edition had ridiculous things. It's like you couldn't show, and we're like, this game has been out on Vita for years and years. It's like, come on. It's like you're really going to spoil it and stuff like that. And you think about some of the thing is like, I wonder back in the day and stuff like that. If I brought some friends over, it's like we're playing a video game and they're watching, and then they say, are you going to come into my room and just shut me down and stuff like that? I was thinking about that, about older games and stuff like that, because we've had many re releases, right? And it's tough because you're thinking you want someone to experience it the same for the first time, but when it's something that old, it's like what's going on and stuff like
Well,
that. There's
it's
definitely tensions on the Japanese side where they don't seem to want to be willing to let you show as much and stuff like that. And I think even in that Kotaku article, they talked about older games actually in Japan having issues being re-released because of this
that's
very same
exactly
issue in copyright, and they've
what I
been
was
trying to
thinking.
work that out.
Hmm. And well, if you look in the comments, you just go down the comments, and people will want to push out just the idea that any sort of discussion or any sort of review can get flagged just as quickly, and it happens within Japan itself. I don't know if it's Giguk or Anime Man, but somebody linked a YouTube video to one of those two because I get them confused sometimes. I admit.
But yeah, no, Anime Man
And it
Joy
was
I know did, and
really
he had
interesting.
another video actually on his second channel where he had a Japanese YouTuber and they were doing transformative work on movie reviews,
That's
and
the one.
they just got nailed, shut down, and then fined and all this other stuff. And even the guys that were hired on to help out, they got nailed as well with
That's the one.
penalties,
That's
like
the one.
criminal, like court penalties, like fines, all this other stuff, even though they weren't the owner of the channel, stuff like that. And they asked the guy, are we good? And he's like, I thought we were good.
Mhm.
And if they were anywhere else in the world, I think they would have been fine. Like, as Joey had said, there was transformative work there and stuff like that. But being Japan, they got the full brunt, unlike anywhere else. And
This is it.
it's
This is
sad.
where the tensions between Japan internally and then doing business with the rest of the outside world will start to come to fore.
And
Like
that was the
I
thing,
I
too.
get it. That's an issue that happened domestically, but don't think like that. That's just to their own. That's just to people within the country. So here it is happening outside as well. So this is a little bit concerning, and it has me treading really lightly tonight because in light of this, and then watching a StreamYard video earlier today with a lawyer who specializes in copyright and streaming. The suggestion I got is tread carefully if you're going to show the Kotaku website. Here, we're going to just quickly, let me do that one more time.
And the thing is,
first of all, do you think this is fair use?
I think it definitely is fair use. I've seen it in many other YouTube videos and stuff like that. We're not showing the entire article and stuff like that. We've made mention to quotations from the article and stuff like that. But it's like, and we made mention of Brian Ashcraft, of course. It's like he's been doing this for many, many years and stuff like that in Japan, and we made mention of him too. So I think we are okay and stuff like that. But as we said, the hammer can come down without any warning and stuff like that. And I'd say other people would get hurt more than us.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that StreamYard discussion I just hinted at earlier kind of said just get your documents in order, for just a basic summary of it. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but just have to really, really keep your ass covered, for lack of a better choice of words. Here, let me take that off the screen.
And plus, I would say the amount of time we had that on the screen is a lot less than we had the image of the logo and then of our two fabulous mugs.
Well, yes. See, but it had me thinking also when we did the Anime North episode, we showed off a lot of little pictures, basically grabs from Google for just for reference, right? So when we showed the Kentaro Miura memorial card and the statement from Hakan Sensha announcing his passing, we showed those on the screen rather extensively for a few minutes as we talked about those. Wonder if anybody will come after us over those images.
I would say no, because now obviously if it's an algorithm, algorithms don't care. But I think if they realize what it is in context, hopefully you work it out and stuff like that. But it's definitely harder in this online world, as we know on YouTube and Twitch, because they got a lot on their end to fix this mess as well, because it's still a spaghetti soup for them for like what happens when you get into these disputes, because it seems the person who instigates it and says, "Hey, you're in the wrong," is the one that gets more power. You know what I mean?
Well, they got the company. The company's might, for starters, right? And the legal might and
Yeah,
the
and
resources.
they get to wait 30 days and just say, "Hey, guess what? We don't agree." It's like, and you just keep on going and roll it along, and then it's kind of like, okay, maybe they'll run out of money. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, I don't think a lot of YouTubers have a lot of money to keep on fighting and fighting and fighting. You know what I mean? There's
Oh,
only so many big YouTubers.
yeah, those are, well, the biggest YouTubers. Who knows? But those are few and far between.
Hmm.
Like,
Because it's still a young industry, and as many of them have said, for many YouTubers that try to do this professionally and stuff like that, they don't know if it's still going to be there tomorrow and stuff like that. It's like a new age and stuff like that, and they're trailblazers. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And they always say that. They say if we can make our money now like a sports athlete and get some of that and have a tidy future, then we should try and go for it for some of them that are big and stuff like that. And I understand that because there may be no tomorrow. You never know what the next big thing will be.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, we can have another discussion about that another time, and I'd have to gather a few more thoughts about the big names in streaming and what have you. I can tell you. I mean, first of all, let's end this thought out, because I know when Mo, Kevin, and Jeff join us next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about this story. And for reference, in terms of fair use and all that stuff, tell that to Mark Fitzpatrick because he's feeling quite the pinch, I'm sure, at the moment.
And as others have been there and stuff like that, it's just wow, never quite to this extreme and stuff like that. Like it's most of his life's work, and as some others have said, some have had to shut down their channel and then restart another channel and stuff like that and start from scratch. And that's a lot harder to do and stuff like that because you never know if the boogeyman's going to come over. And some of them go over their stuff with a fine tooth comb, and that's like the description, the video itself, what images they're showing. You know what I mean? So it's not what it used to be back 2 decades ago when YouTube and that first started, where it was just some funny antics with people with their video camera and stuff like that, right? It's like now it's
No
turned
kidding.
into something entirely different.
Yeah, really different. But in any event, I know we'll just, as I said, we this is like another layer, another story we can add on to many of the themes we've been talking about over the
Actually,
last.
we should talk funny lastly before we leave. That
Uh,
funny story I told you about. Remember the video yesterday from Joey on his second channel and see about the guys
I
how they
wouldn't.
would feel if we gave them a survey and asked for their social media details and then at the
Yeah,
very end asked for their password for
which
said social media details and see if they'd be okay with that
well,
or if they would
that's
be
another
slightly
story too.
offended and be concerned what we would
Yeah,
be
and
doing
that's
with said
another.
details.
You're hinting at another actual news story in Japan about
And
middle
that one,
schools.
yeah, that was actually in Japan recently and stuff like that. And Joey had picked it up too. And it was kind of tying into this old mentality about technology and stuff like that. This one was about a Japanese middle school in the Tokyo area. And I don't know if they were hopefully trying to make sure their students weren't doing anything bad on the internet and all this other stuff and remember for middle school, it's grade 7 to 9 in Japan. And that's probably when some of these kids are starting maybe to get online stuff like that and expand their powers, I guess, through Twitter or whatnot and learn about the world. And I guess, as we know, Japanese schools, they're very more focused on keeping their kids, I guess, like supervised. You know what I mean? It isn't always the parents. It's like they're like, okay, you should be in
Sport.
school. You should be making sure you're representing the school right in the proper way, right? And so I guess that's why they wanted to quote unquote see where they were online and stuff like that. And so they asked for their social media details in this survey, but at the end they asked for their password and 276 students basically gave them the full details. Like basically they doxed themselves, as Joey said, and it's kind of ridiculous that they would do that. But knowing Japan, they probably said, "Oh, fine, we'll do that." But one person obviously knew this was bullshit. They went to Twitter, called them out, and basically it turned into this story. Now, what gets even more crazy about the story, Mike, is this. As I told you, those 276 documents that were fully filled out, if you were anywhere else in the world, they should be shredded and burned immediately. If they were in the European Union, they would have been fined out the wazoo because this was a big whoops, so to speak. But none of that would happen in Japan. And the response they gave is that all these documents are going to be under lock and key in an office. And it's like, well, that's not a secure solution, period. And the other thing was they had, I guess, a parents' council or something went after the person that tweeted and said that what they did just publicized it and made the incident worse and stuff like that, that they could have jeopardized their privacy and security of these people and all this stuff. And they're like, that just doesn't wash anywhere else in the world
No,
that you
no.
could do that. Like, it makes you wonder about some of these, how far Japan is behind in certain things. And that was
Well,
another reminder.
remember, we're talking about like these are the types of places. Some schools dictate whether or not you can dye your hair or your hair is
Most
expected
of
to
them,
be of
I
a certain
thought,
color.
only allow natural hair color. And even those with natural hair color that isn't, like black or darker or stuff like that, they still fight them and they have to get like exemption saying that yes, this is their natural hair color, and they're still frowned upon, which is crazy. But it's that conformity, right?
Well, yes,
That's
and
the
then the
conformity.
other one was
Hmm.
school uniforms. I mean, there. I know that the push for girls to wear pants at school is a recent push, and it's been often turned away. But in most of North America, or in a lot of places, certainly in locally here, the option to have pants, and sometimes pants are even mandatory for women, for girls. That's only a recent development in Japan. And when in during my time as a program monitor for NHK World, and I think I mentioned I had to write a review on that news story, and I brought it up there. The program monitors who were my supervisors for that, they seem surprised to know that this is a non-issue here. That's how far behind things are.
I guess it's
And
that thing of they export the pop culture, as we say, the video games and the anime and the manga and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still like the black ships in a way haven't arrived in a way. They're still in certain ways an isolated archipelago nation in a way.
yeah, well, it's a bunch of islands, right? Anyway, as I said, this is a part of the discussion. I know the others will have something to say in the near future when we reconvene the full version of the roundtable in the near future.
And for them, if they're not comfortable giving us their passwords, they could at least do us the honor of giving us their credit card information.
Here, well, let me go get mine. Okay. Well, that's almost it tonight. I think we have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that we do have faces for radio.
And don't worry, Mike, the lightning and Flora will probably come down on us, the internet
Well,
gods or
yeah.
whoever ever it is strikes down these videos,
Well, the
whatever
thing is,
algorithm. And hey, if that algorithm strikes us down, maybe the right algorithm will kick the other things up a notch, as they say.
well, I mean, we can give them our contact information just in case, right here. So, yeah. Well, if the people behind Kotaku are listening, you can email us animeroundtable@gmail.com if you have any concerns, or to the people watching this, any thoughts you'd like to share. It's a nuanced discussion. We get it. Uh, Twitter and Instagram, we are mentioned there at Anime Roundtable. We've long held those handles, held them since 2018. I'm so surprised that both were still there, but they are. And the links we just mentioned, we'll put up the Kotaku story for this. Wow, this is quite a story. We'll put up the link to the article on our website, on our blog, animeroundtable.com. We'll probably link some of Totally Not Mark's video reactions to this as well, because it's I'm sure he's kind of reeling on that right now.
It's
But
kind of
those
funny. I was thinking about it, Mike, just now. And another thing, I'm not sure if he changed the video on his Patreon, but I
yeah,
think
that.
either yesterday or earlier today, his intro video on YouTube that was on his Patreon was one of the videos that Toei pulled. And
Oh
it
yeah,
was just,
okay.
it just put it all into light. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like, man, oh man.
cut off everything, right? Everything. Anyway, those there's that.
But it sounds like hopefully everyone's coming together and him and his team hopefully will have a good Christmas and stuff like that. And they're definitely thankful. And I think they'll help any other people that obviously would be in a similar situation. And hopefully everyone can come together and roll that ball right up the hill and maybe make enough noise. As we said, it's trended on Twitter and all this other stuff. But as we said, some people, I don't think that's enough because they're in this old way of thinking in certain companies like Toei, and hopefully someone there we'll hopefully be able to say something to the right person to make something happen. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be overnight. It's going to be more years to get the right things going than we hope. But hopefully, we'll get there someday.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, again pretty soon. Okay, a couple of suggestions, and this is kind of following up on what we have brought up. As I said, this is the first time we're trying or making any attempt to be on Twitch or YouTube ourselves, anyway, by ourselves on any sort of live stream. So hopefully there'll be some other programming to add. God, I did want to play a video game on this channel. I'm not totally sure we could now, after, in light of everything that's happened the last little bit here. One thing I do want to recommend, at least in terms of the links we just put up, at least from last episode, I mentioned the Songs of Tokyo Festival, the thing that was taped back in October. As I said, the Western counterpoint, or the overseas counterpoint to the Kohaku Utagasen. One thing that I would recommend, I think it's in part 3 of the Songs of Tokyo Festival. They do a trio of songs that are covers of classic city pop songs. If I'm to make a recommendation out of any song that you'll hear throughout the entire Songs of Tokyo Festival, 2 members of Hinatazaka 46 do a cover of Plastic Love. It was the first time I had ever heard that song, but I learned it's considered a standard to the genre. The performance was pretty well done. I'd show an image from it, but I think we'd be in trouble for that right away. But there's a link, so check out. That's worth checking out. And tell us what you think. Perhaps appropriately, the 2 members of Hinatazaka 46 who sung that song, and whose names I completely forgot, I would have to look it up, Shiho Kato and Kyoko Saito, they were wearing light blue. That's the color of Hinatazaka 48. Hinatazaka 46. The bands and the sister bands, they're all color coordinated, so they have specific colors. And Hinatazaka 46, did I say 48 the entire way through? I might have.
I think you might have.
I think I might have. Hinatazaka 46, their signature color is a light shade of blue, so it's appropriate that the 2 singers wore blue as well. And it's a recommended watch. And then, much like Hatsukoi back in May, I found myself looking at various versions, covers, performances of Plastic Love, and a couple of recordings of its original artist, Maria Takeuchi, playing it and singing it as well. And apparently she was a very big artist back in the city pop days. I think one video you'll find of that is of her and her husband performing it back in 2000. So there's a couple recommendations right there. So we're off and running, at least on the video end.
So did we get more than 2? Well,
Nope.
3 people, which were 2 Mo's and Greg.
No, and Mr. Greg. Yeah, 2 Mo's and a Jeff. That's about all who are listening, at least live. And hopefully, a few more will at least check out this video as well. Of course, we're going to take the audio and put this online too. And I think that's where most people are going to listen to this. We'll put up the links to the YouTube and Twitch channels in the process, probably not the Facebook group. But that's all as we move forward. In any event, that's all we got to talk about. I think we went longer than we should have, James. Hope the battery didn't run out on your computer yet.
Oh, no, it's still good for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, this was kind of nice to try something like this midweek. So thanks for the time, James. Thanks for at least testing all this out.
So I guess the real question, the viewers are wondering, we have the Rodecaster, we have the new mic. So what other presents does Santa have for you, Mike?
Well, I've to be honest, I've gotten all I want.
I'm hoping for some coal to keep me warm, you know.
Oh yeah, they were that type of thing. Actually, I'm actually testing this on an old MacBook now. So yeah, there's one more, at least one more change coming, at least in terms of the equipment here. But
Oh,
that's to come, and then as we reach the end of 2021, I think we got a couple more recordings to go. So we'll talk about all of this in the near future.
yep. And it was a good maiden voyage, as they say. And thanks again for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for the time. Thanks for the time. Let's see what happens when the others come on. Let us know. As I said, let us know in the comments. Let us know via email if you think the full episodes, our regular roundtable episodes, belong on video as well. Plan is not right now, but that could change. Let us know. Anyway, that's all we got. So until next time, thanks for listening, and join us whenever we. What is it? Do you think we'll do episode 55 next, or do you think we'll just do another one of these? Who knows? You take a guess, James. We'll see if you're
We'll
right.
see where the wind takes us. It might be a regular episode, I suspect.
Mm-hmm. Join us then. Thanks for listening.